The Awakening. The Helios Energy Research Facility sat nestled in the mountains of Colorado, far from prying eyes and curious minds. Its unassuming exterior concealed cutting-edge laboratories, where the boundaries of physics were pushed daily. Dr. Maya Harrison wiped sweat from her brow as she calibrated the quantum resonance chamber for the 5th time that evening. At 32, she was younger than most lead researchers, but her brilliance had earned her this position, even if the scientific community still largely ignored her controversial theories about the fundamental nature of energy. Power levels stable at 65%, called out her assistant, Dr. Raj Patel, his fingers dancing across holographic controls. "We can try again whenever you're ready." Maya nodded, her dark eyes focused on the swirling patterns of light within the chamber. Her theory was simple yet revolutionary. What humans called dark energy wasn't just an invisible force accelerating the universe's expansion. It was conscious in a way, responsive to sentient thought at a quantum level. If she could prove this, it would rewrite physics textbooks worldwide. "Beginning sequence in 3, 2, 1, she announced, activating the resonance field. The chamber hummed, emitting a soft blue glow as the quantum particles aligned. Everything proceeded normally until the 67% mark, when the first anomaly appeared, a small ripple in the energy field, like a stone dropped in still water. "Are you seeing this?" Maya asked, her voice tight with excitement. "The field is responding differently." Before Raj could answer, the ripple expanded, becoming a cascade of light that flooded the chamber. Warning alarms blared as power surged through the facility systems. The quantum resonance crescendoed into a blinding flash that knocked both scientists backward. For Maya, time seemed to stop. In that frozen moment, she felt a connection form, like a key sliding into a lock she never knew existed within her mind. The universe opened before her consciousness in ways human language couldn't describe. She saw energy patterns connecting everything, flowing through reality like cosmic rivers. When the light faded, the laboratory was in ruins. Equipment had melted, computers were fried, and the resonance chamber had collapsed into itself. Raj lay unconscious near the door, but Maya stood unharmed at the epicenter, ethereal patterns of light dancing across her skin. "Raj," she called, rushing to her colleague. As she reached for him, reality bent. Her mere thought about his well-being caused the injuries on his body to reverse themselves, cells regenerating at impossible speeds. Raj gasped, sitting up with wide eyes. "What happened?" he asked, then froze, staring at Maya. "Your eyes." Maya couldn't see what he saw. Her irises now shimmered with the same energy patterns that had filled the chamber, like windows to another dimension. "I feel different," she whispered, looking at her hands. When she focused, she could see the quantum structure of everything around her. And more disturbingly, she could change it with a thought. In high orbit above Earth, the Valyrian scout ship Eternal Vigilance registered an energy surge unlike anything in their vast database. Captain Zilith, a tall, slender being with iridescent skin and 6-fingered hands, reviewed the readings with growing concern. "Analysis complete," announced the ship's eye. "The energy signature contains quantum manipulation patterns consistent with threshold evolution." The bridge fell silent. In the history of the Valyrian Confederation, spanning 27 galaxies and millions of years, only 12 species had ever undergone threshold evolution, the spontaneous ability to manipulate fundamental forces through consciousness alone. Each time, it had reshaped galactic politics and occasionally destroyed civilizations. "Impossible," Xylith finally said. "Humans are centuries away from such capabilities according to our developmental models." "Nevertheless," replied Science Officer Thandrix, her cranial fins pulsing with anxiety, "the data is conclusive. A human has achieved quantum consciousness." Zilith's silver eyes narrowed. "Prepare a covert reconnaissance team. I want visual confirmation and full biometric analysis. Notify High Command immediately." The ship's communication officer hesitated. "Captain, the directives are clear." Any species showing signs of threshold evolution must be immediately. I know the directives, Xylith interrupted, but this is unprecedented. A single individual achieving this state without technological assistance or species-wide evolutionary preparation. We need more information before taking permanent measures. Back on Earth, Maya had retreated to her small apartment in Boulder, trying desperately to understand what had happened to her. Objects floated around the room in response to her stray thoughts. When she grew hungry, food in her refrigerator spontaneously cooked itself. When she felt cold, the molecular activity in the air around her increased, raising the temperature. Her phone had been ringing constantly, calls from the facility's security team, from government agencies, from Raj. She ignored them all, focusing instead on controlling the power that now flowed through her. "What's happening to me?" she whispered to herself, watching as light bent around her fingers like water. A sudden chill ran down her spine as she sensed someone watching her. Turning toward her window, she caught a glimpse of movement on the rooftop across the street. Without thinking, her perception extended outward, piercing walls and distance. 3 beings crouched there, definitely not human. Their bodies were humanoid, but too perfect in symmetry, their skin reflecting light in ways that suggested advanced biological engineering. They carried devices that hummed with energy signatures Maya could somehow read like open books. "They're scanning me," she realized with a start, instinctively throwing up a quantum barrier around her apartment. The alien scanning equipment exploded in their hands, causing them to recoil in surprise. One of them, clearly the leader, made eye contact with Maya across the impossible distance. In that moment, a telepathic connection formed, bridging their minds. "We mean you no harm," came the thought in Maya's head, though she knew this was not entirely true. "I am Thandrix of the Valyrian Confederation. What you have become is both miraculous and dangerous." Maya pushed back with her own thoughts. "What have I become?" "Something rare across the cosmos, a being who can rewrite the fundamental laws of physics with consciousness alone. A quantum architect." The connection broke as sirens wailed in the distance. Government vehicles were converging on her location. Someone had reported the strange lights emanating from her apartment. Maya knew instinctively she couldn't allow herself to be captured. Not by her own government, and certainly not by these aliens who regarded her with such fear and fascination. With a thought, she gathered what she needed, compressed the quantum structure of her belongings into a portable field, and stepped through the wall of her apartment as easily as walking through a beaded curtain. The Valyrian High Council convened an emergency session upon receiving Captain Zilith's report. The council chamber, a vast spherical room where the representatives of 27 galaxies gathered as holographic projections, buzzed with alarm. "The footage is conclusive," announced High Counselor Vex, the eldest among them. "A human female has achieved quantum architect status without any of the evolutionary or technological precursors we believed necessary. This defies all established models." "The directives are clear," countered Counselor Mavic, his hologram flickering with agitation. "Threshold evolution in primitive species requires immediate containment. The risk is too great." "Humans are not primitive," argued Xylith, who had been granted speaking rights for the session. "They are young, yes, but their advancement rate exceeds any species we've encountered. And this case is unique. It's a single individual, not a species-wide event." Counselor Dravex, representing the militant Valyrian factions, leaned forward. "All the more reason for decisive action. One individual can be eliminated before the ability spreads. Our simulations show a 78.3% probability that without intervention, humanity will achieve widespread quantum consciousness within 3 generations." The debate raged for hours before High Counselor Vex raised a hand for silence. "We have monitored Earth for millennia, watching humans evolve from cave-dwelling primates to a space-faring civilization in a cosmological blink. Their potential has always concerned us, but their capacity for both creation and destruction has earned our reluctant respect." Vex paused, the weight of the decision heavy in the silence. Nevertheless, the directives exist for good reason. The last species to unexpectedly achieve quantum consciousness destroyed 3 solar systems before we could contain them. "What are your orders, High Counselor?" asked Xylith. "Deploy the quantum suppression fleet," Vex declared. "Capture the human if possible. If not," the ancient being's expression hardened, "neutralize the threat. The survival of countless civilizations may depend on it." Maya fled west, drawn instinctively toward the isolation of the desert. Her powers grew with each passing hour as her mind adapted to its new capabilities. She could feel the quantum structure of reality like a vast tapestry, and her thoughts were needles that could reweave its patterns. When military helicopters tracked her to a small town in Nevada, she simply shifted the light around her body, becoming invisible to both human eyes and electronic sensors. When roadblocks appeared ahead, she altered the quantum probability field, creating a path that hadn't existed moments before. Yet with this growing power came understanding. She began to comprehend why the aliens, the Valyrians, feared her. The energy she controlled could, with a misplaced thought, tear apart the delicate fabric of space-time. A nightmare scenario played out in her mind. What if she lost control while dreaming? What if a moment of anger caused catastrophic damage? By sunset, Maya reached the edge of Death Valley, its vast emptiness calling to her. Here, away from population centers, she could experiment with her abilities while minimizing risk to others. As stars appeared in the darkening sky, she extended her senses upward and froze. A fleet of massive ships had entered Earth's solar system, moving with purpose toward her planet. The Valyrian Confederation had decided she was too dangerous to allow her continued freedom. Maya sat cross-legged on a rocky outcropping, watching the sunset with new eyes that could perceive wavelengths of light invisible to normal humans. The approaching conflict filled her with dread, but also resolve. Whatever she had become, whatever a quantum architect was, she would not allow her abilities to be used as a weapon, by herself or anyone else. As darkness fell completely over the desert, Maya Harrison closed her eyes and stretched her consciousness outward, preparing for the confrontation that would determine not just her fate, but potentially that of her entire species. The convergence. Dawn broke over Death Valley, painting the barren landscape in shades of gold and amber. Maya hadn't slept. Instead, she'd spent the night in a state of heightened awareness, her consciousness expanding beyond her physical form to monitor the approaching Valyrian fleet. They were still beyond the moon's orbit, but moving with determination toward Earth. A plume of dust on the horizon caught her attention. A single vehicle approached, an old jeep bouncing over the rough terrain. Maya prepared to vanish from sight, but something about the driver's quantum signature gave her pause. He wasn't military, nor was he alien. He was familiar somehow. The jeep stopped 50 yards away. A man in his 60s stepped out, his weathered face framed by wild gray hair. He wore the rumpled clothes of an academic and carried nothing but a small leather satchel. "Dr. Harrison," he called, making no move to come closer. "My name is Professor Elias Chen. I've been looking for you." Maya remained silent, scanning him at the quantum level. He was human, but there was something unusual about his neural patterns. They showed signs of advanced development, almost as if evolving toward what she had become. "How did you find me?" she finally asked. Chen smiled. "The same way I've found others like you throughout history, though I must say, you're the most remarkable case I've ever encountered." "Others?" Maya's voice caught. "There have been others with these abilities." "Not precisely like yours," Chen replied, gesturing to a flat rock nearby. "May I sit? It's been a long drive, and what I have to tell you will take some time." Maya nodded, curiosity overriding caution. Chen sat with a grateful sigh. Throughout human history, certain individuals have manifested abilities beyond normal human capacity. Nikola Tesla could visualize complete machines in his mind. Wolfgang Mozart could hear entire symphonies in an instant. but these were merely glimpses of what you've achieved. Full quantum consciousness. The aliens called me a quantum architect, Maya said. Ken's eyebrows shot up. You've had contact with them already. The Valyrians? How do you know about the Valyrians? Maya demanded, energy crackling around her fingers. Because I've spent my life studying the quantum consciousness phenomenon, and that research inevitably led me to evidence of extraterrestrial monitoring. Chen opened his satchel and removed an ancient-looking journal. This belonged to my grandfather, who experienced a lesser version of your awakening in 1947. The Valyrians took him for study, but returned him with his memory mostly intact. He spent the rest of his life documenting what he learned. Maya hesitated, then extended her perception into the journal. Its pages contained equations and concepts that resonated with her new understanding of reality, primitive compared to what she now knew, but pointing in the right direction. The universe isn't what we think it is, Chen continued. Consciousness doesn't arise from matter. Matter arises from consciousness. What you've discovered is how to directly interface with the fundamental layer of reality that precedes physical existence. That doesn't explain why I can do this, Maya said, causing the small stone to transform into a perfect crystal sphere with a thought. The Valyrians have a theory. They believe the universe itself occasionally creates beings like you, cosmic antibodies of sorts, when the balance of creation is threatened. Chen looked skyward. And right now, that balance faces its greatest threat in eons. In the cold darkness of space, the Valyrian quantum suppression fleet had reached Earth's orbit, 12 massive vessels, each shaped like a perfect geometric dodecahedron, positioned themselves strategically around the planet. Inside the command vessel, Captain Zilith received disturbing news. Long-range sensors have detected a draconian battle group entering the solar system, reported his tactical officer. Estimated arrival time: 6 hours. Zilith cursed under his breath. The Draconians, a reptilian species known for their aggressive expansion and technological piracy, were the Valyrians' oldest enemies. If they had detected the quantum event on Earth, the situation had become far more complicated. They're after the human, Zilith stated grimly. Accelerate our timeline. Deploy containment teams immediately. As his crew rushed to comply, Zilith stared at the holographic image of Earth rotating before him. The Valyrians had strict protocols for handling threshold evolution events, but those protocols never accounted for competing interests from hostile species. If the Draconians captured the human first, they would certainly weaponize her abilities. Perhaps, he mused to himself, elimination is no longer the wisest course. Back in Death Valley, Chen's explanation was interrupted by a sonic boom that shook the ground beneath them. A Valyrian scout ship dropped from the sky, its silvery hull reflecting the morning sun as it landed 100 yards away. Maya rose to her feet, power gathering around her. Stay behind me, Professor. The ship's hull split open, and 3 Valyrians emerged. Maya recognized Andrix, the science officer who had made telepathic contact with her in Boulder. Beside her stood a tall, commanding figure that Maya instantly knew was the captain. Dr. Maya Harrison, the captain called, his voice translated by a device at his throat. I am Captain Zilith of the Valyrian Confederation. The situation has changed. We need to speak urgently. The last time your people spoke to me, you were deciding whether to capture or kill me, Maya replied, the air around her shimmering with potential energy. Zilith inclined his head. That remains one possibility, yes, but circumstances have evolved. Another species has detected your quantum signature and is en route to Earth. The Draconians are not as ethically constrained as we are. Chen stepped forward. The Draconians will use her as a weapon, Captain. Your people know their methods better than most. Zilith's silver eyes widened slightly. You are well informed for a human. Not all your previous subjects forgot what they learned during their time with you, Chen replied. A high-pitched alarm sounded from within the Valyrian ship. One of the crew rushed out, speaking rapidly in their native language. Zilith's expression darkened. The Draconians have accelerated their approach using prohibited drive technology. They will reach Earth within the hour. Maya felt a cold certainty settle over her. What do they want with me? The Draconians believe that a quantum architect could be used to create weaponry capable of restructuring reality itself. Thandrix explained. With your abilities, they could conquer not just this galaxy, but potentially the entire universe. Then help me stop them, Maya said firmly. Zilith studied her for a long moment. You understand we cannot allow your abilities to continue developing unchecked. After the Draconian threat is neutralized, we will still face the question of what to do about you. One problem at a time, Captain, Maya replied. First, let's save my planet. The sky above Earth darkened as the Draconian battle group arrived, their ships resembling massive obsidian shards that tore through the fabric of space. The Valyrian fleet moved to intercept them, creating a defensive perimeter around the planet. In the command center of the Valyrian flagship, Maya stood beside Captain Zilith, watching the tactical display. Professor Chen had been given access to the ship's scientific databases, where he eagerly absorbed knowledge that humanity wouldn't discover for centuries. Their fleet outguns ours, Zilith admitted grimly, and their quantum shielding technology is specifically designed to counter our weapons. Maya studied the Draconian ships, extending her perception across the vast distance of space. She could feel the energy patterns flowing through their vessels. And more disturbingly, she could sense the malevolent intent of their commanders. I can disable their shields, she said quietly. Zilith turned to her. That would require quantum manipulation on a scale we've never observed from a singular consciousness. I'm not sure what my limits are, Maya replied. But I understand their shield technology now that I can see it. It's based on quantum probability manipulation, making it statistically impossible for your weapons to penetrate their defenses. And you believe you can alter those probabilities. I don't just believe it, Maya said, a subtle glow emanating from her eyes. I know it. Before Zilith could respond, the communication system activated. A harsh reptilian face appeared on the main screen, scales gleaming metallic green under artificial light, yellow eyes with vertical pupils fixed on Maya. Valyrian interference is unnecessary and unwise, the Draconian commander hissed. Surrender the human quantum entity to us, and we will withdraw from this system. The human is under Confederation protection, Zilith replied formally. The Draconian's mouth twisted in what might have been a smile. Then we will take her by force. Her abilities will serve a greater purpose under Draconian guidance. The transmission cut off abruptly. Moments later, the Draconian fleet launched its attack. Brilliant energy beams sliced through space toward the Valyrian ships, which returned fire with their own advanced weaponry. The battle unfolded with terrifying speed. Maya closed her eyes, extending her consciousness toward the Draconian vessels. She could feel their shield generators, the quantum matrices that protected them from conventional attacks. With careful precision, she began to unravel the probability fields, creating microscopic windows of vulnerability in their defenses. There, she said, opening her eyes. Your weapons can penetrate their shields now, but only for the next few minutes before their systems adapt. Zilith wasted no time, ordering an immediate coordinated attack. Valyrian energy weapons struck with surgical precision, disabling the Draconian ship's main propulsion systems. For a moment, it seemed the tide had turned. Then a smaller Draconian vessel broke through the Valyrian line, diving toward Earth's atmosphere on a direct course for the Valyrian command ship where Maya stood. Kamikaze approach, shouted the tactical officer. Impact in 20 seconds. Maya stepped forward, her face set with determination. Get everyone to safety. I need to try something. Dr. Harrison, Zilith began, but Maya had already closed her eyes. This time, she didn't just perceive the quantum structure of reality, she embraced it completely. Her consciousness expanded beyond the ship, beyond the battle, encompassing the entire region of space where the conflict raged. Time itself seemed to slow as she accessed deeper levels of quantum reality. With a thought that transcended words, Maya created a localized bubble of altered physics. Within this sphere, the aggressive intent of the Draconians couldn't manifest as physical action. Their neural impulses for violence simply couldn't translate into the movement of their ship's controls. Every vessel, Draconian and Valyrian alike, froze in space. When Maya opened her eyes, everyone on the command deck was staring at her in awe and fear. The tactical display showed all ships motionless, locked in a tableau of interrupted battle. "What did you do?" whispered Thandrix. "I created a temporary space where aggression cannot physically manifest," Maya explained, her voice eerily calm. "It won't last long, but it gives us a chance to communicate instead of fight." Within the hour, representatives from both fleets had gathered in the Valyrian flagship's conference chamber. The Draconians came reluctantly, their usual aggression muted by the demonstration of Maya's power. Professor Chen stood proudly at Maya's side, representing humanity in this unprecedented cosmic summit. "What we have witnessed today changes everything we understood about threshold evolution," Xylith addressed the gathering. "Dr. Harrison has demonstrated abilities that surpass any quantum architect in our recorded history." The Draconian commander, who had introduced himself as War Primus Ketras, leaned forward, "Which is precisely why such power cannot remain unchecked. The human must be studied and her abilities harnessed." "Harnessed by whom?" Maya asked quietly. "You? The Valyrians, my own government, who would undoubtedly militarize me if they knew what I could do." She stood, and subtle ripples of energy cascaded around her. "I spent the last few days learning about what I've become. Professor Chen believes, and I agree, that these abilities didn't emerge by accident. The universe itself is evolving, and consciousness is the frontier of that evolution." Maya turned to address the Valyrians. "Your directives regarding threshold evolution were created from fear, not understanding. You've been containing or eliminating emerging quantum architects for millennia, stunting the natural development of consciousness throughout the cosmos." Then she faced the Draconians. "And you seek to weaponize what you don't comprehend, to control powers that exist to create, not destroy. What alternative do you propose?" asked Xylith. Maya smiled. "A new approach. I will neither be contained nor weaponized. Instead, I offer myself as a bridge between species, between understandings of reality. I will work with representatives from all interested parties to explore these abilities safely." She gestured to Professor Chen. "Humanity deserves a voice in this process. We may be young as a species, but we have perspectives your civilizations lost long ago." War Primus Ketras hissed in derision. "Pretty words, but what prevents us from simply taking what we want once we leave this chamber and your influence wanes?" Maya's expression hardened. "Because I've learned something else about my abilities." She raised her hand, and a miniature galaxy formed above her palm, stars swirling in perfect cosmic dance. "I can perceive quantum structures across vast distances now. If anyone attempts to force my hand or threaten my world again..." The tiny galaxy in her palm collapsed into a pinpoint of light. "I will know, and I will respond." The threat hung in the air, all the more powerful for its quiet delivery. 3 months later, Maya stood on the observation deck of the newly constructed Quantum Convergence Institute, built in the heart of what had once been Death Valley. Below her, scientists from Earth worked alongside representatives from 17 alien civilizations, studying the nature of quantum consciousness within carefully established ethical boundaries. Professor Chen approached, looking more energetic than Maya had ever seen him. "The Valyrian archives you negotiated access to have advanced our understanding of physics by centuries," he said excitedly. "And the draconian medical technologies are revolutionizing our healthcare systems." Maya nodded, but her gaze remained fixed on the stars above. Her consciousness could now touch distant corners of the galaxy, monitoring the delicate peace she had brokered. It wasn't perfect. The Draconians still pushed boundaries, and some Valyrian factions advocated for stricter controls. But it was a beginning. "Do you ever regret the experiment that changed you?" Chen asked quietly. Maya considered the question. Her life had been irrevocably altered. She would never again know normal human existence, and the responsibility she carried was sometimes overwhelming. Yet, no, she answered finally. For billions of years, the universe has been evolving toward greater complexity and consciousness. What happened to me was just one step in that evolution, a step that humanity was ready to take, even if we didn't know it. She turned to him, her eyes reflecting the starlight. And we're just getting started. Far above, in the darkness of space, the quantum fabric of reality rippled in response to her words, almost as if the universe itself were listening and pleased with what it heard.